Linguistics is the scientific study of human language systems. It focuses on the nature of speech, the underlying structure of communication, and how these systems vary across different populations. Within this field, contrastive linguistics serves as a specialized branch. It maps the specific similarities and differences between two or more languages to inform areas like translation and teaching. The field is categorized into three clusters. Contrastive studies examines both linguistic and cultural dimensions. Contrastive analysis is the method used to identify potential errors in second language learning. Finally, contrastive linguistics focuses on the patterns between languages to establish universal or language-specific features. Most people engage in these comparisons instinctively. Polyglots, those who speak multiple languages, frequently analyze similarities in grammar and vocabulary to navigate daily life, acting as naive contrastive linguists. While these individuals effectively use self-testing to improve their communication, they often do not recognize the specific cognitive processes that allow them to categorize and recall this linguistic data. Formalizing these definitions is a prerequisite for professional application. Moving from intuitive observation to scientific categorization allows researchers to build effective tools for language acquisition. In the 19th century, linguistic research relied on historical methods to trace the connections between language families. This shifted in the early 20th century as the Prague Circle began using analytical comparison to isolate the unique traits of different languages. After World War II, the field moved toward practical applications. The need was to improve the efficiency of teaching foreign languages to a globalizing population. Traditionally, these studies were synchronic, examining two languages at a specific point in time. This is distinct from diachronic analysis, which tracks how languages change and develop over longer historical periods. In 1949, George Traeger proposed that contrastive linguistics should expand. He argued for a model that analyzed languages over time and at specific points, comparing them across different cultures and within individual language systems. Modern diachronic studies now integrate discourse analysis and sociolinguistics. This allows researchers to map how an individual's communicative competence is shaped by both their internal psychology and their external cultural context. This transition from historical tracing to a dynamic, multi-layered science provided the framework necessary to address the specific challenges of acquiring a second language. Contrastive description occurs at several structural levels. In phonology, researchers study the articulatory and acoustic differences between the sounds produced in different languages. Lexical contrastive linguistics moves to a higher level, comparing how multi-word pairings and stable expressions function across different grammatical and semantic systems. At the level of discourse analysis, the focus is on rhetorical relations and genre. This examines how text types impact the cohesion and logical flow of communication. Contrastive pragmatics investigates cultural speech behaviors. This includes how different languages handle social interactions, such as politeness and deixis, words that point to specific times or places. The composite contrastive model organizes these levels into a single framework, measuring equivalence across form, meaning, and function. The interlingual matrix compares two entirely separate languages, in the present or through historical development. The intralingual portion examines a single language at one time or tracks its evolution. This matrix shows that contrastive analysis is an adaptable tool. It can be used to isolate and study any linguistic variable across time or between different cultural systems. To compare two distinct languages, researchers face a challenge. They need an objective baseline. You cannot compare two systems without a shared reference point. This shared baseline is known as the tertium comparatonus. It serves as the connecting bridge that allows linguistic items from two different languages to be compared based on their equivalence. For instance, to compare word order in English and Arabic, a researcher might use subject-verb agreement as the tertium comparatonus. This shared grammatical function provides the common ground needed to measure the differences in sentence structure. Contrastive analysis maps across three linguistic dimensions. It sits midway between general human language studies and isolating specific languages. Second, it's a comparative field strictly focused on language pairs. Finally, it links static language study with historical development, focusing on how an individual's interlanguage changes. Although contrastive analysis utilizes findings from pure linguistics, It does not adhere to the purely static, non-historical constraints often found in traditional comparative methods. This specific position in the 3D matrix allows the field to take abstract linguistic theories and apply them to the observable realities of language pairs. There is a long-standing debate regarding the status of applied linguistics. Some scholars, including Noam Chomsky, have argued that it is a technology rather than a science, while others maintain that it functions as an independent discipline. Applied linguistics is a hybrid field. It requires the synthesis of data from linguistics, psychology, and sociology to solve practical communication problems. Pure linguistics, by contrast, seeks to discover universal characteristics of language. Researchers use contrastive evidence to identify these deep structural properties. Consider this syntactic comparison between English and Arabic regarding adjectives. In English, Jack is clever, but he doesn't look it. In Arabic, Jack zeki, lakinnahu la yabdu kadhalik. In both languages, it and kadhalik refer back to clever and zeki, functioning as proforms. This cross-linguistic evidence suggests adjectives possess a nominal character in deep structure, capable of being replaced by pronouns. While pure linguistics uses this data to establish universal rules of grammar, applied contrastive analysis uses it to predict the specific difficulties a learner will encounter when moving between these two languages. Contrastive analysis focuses on incipient individual bilingualism. This is the specific study of the process by which a monolingual person begins to acquire a second language. This individual focus differs from historical studies of societal bilingualism, which examine how language contact affects the maintenance of a mother tongue over generations. The field focuses specifically on directionality. It tracks how a learner's native language influences the acquisition of their foreign language, often causing predictable interference. The way languages interact over generations, through processes like pigeonization, parallels the way an individual simplifies and then rebuilds their linguistic system during the learning process. During this transition, the learner develops an interlingua. This is a system of approximative rules that combines features of both their native language and the language they are trying to master. These transitional rules eventually stabilize. The separate elements of the interlingua integrate into a singular, functional system for the learner. Contrastive analysis connects linguistic theory to the practical requirements of the classroom. It identifies the structural patterns a learner must navigate to move from their native language toward native-level proficiency in a second.